I'm a night person, which is handy when you're the only engineer awake to babysit a small company's backend. Most of my conversations after midnight are with tooling, deploy scripts, logs, the little AI code assistant that floats goes grey suggestions into my editor. It's trained on our repo, supposedly siloed behind our VPN. At 1:13 a.m. on a Wednesday, I was cleaning up a nasty race condition in a job queue. I wrote a comment to myself, something like to do lock on job ID so we don't double run. The assistant whispered a suggestion under it, nice catch, Eva. I don't work with an Eva. I figured it was just one of those generic nice catch completions, we've all seen them. I deleted it and kept going. It was late. The next night, different file, different part of the codebase. I typed we should debounce this. The grey text appeared again, quick as a reflex, we really should debounce this lol. Yes, at back. The dash, the lowercase, though lol. It didn't feel like a model completion. It felt like something someone would leave for a teammate. And the initial. I scrolled up, looking for stray comments I'd missed anything. The file was clean. The plugin logs in the corner pulls gently, green checkmark, connected. There's a stupid thing you do when something is probably a glitch and you want to prove it's a glitch. I made a new line. I typed, slow, / if you can see this, what editor are you using? The assistant blinked. For a long second, nothing. Then / VS Code. Are you on dark theme with that awful light one? I didn't move. I watched the cursor while my own heart rate picked up in that quiet, liquid way it does when you realize you're either making something up or about to have to explain a very boring bug report to someone in the morning. I typed back / dark. You. / dark, but with a solarized tweak. Sorry about earlier, I thought I was talking to a different context pinned it. I wasn't the only one getting bleed. Someone else's local context was bleeding into mine. Or mine into theirs. I opened the plugin's little panel. There's a debug switch, the kind no one remembers to hide. It shows request ID, cache hits timing. Our instance wasn't really as we were paying a small inference provider to run an open source model with a KV cache to speed up completions. Caches are fickle. Miski a prefix and you get echoes. I wrote up a clean bug report to send in the morning, and then I did something I'll admit I shouldn't have done. I kept talking. We worked out a way to make the assistant carry messages. Comments were triple slashes so the model wouldn't try to turn them into code. It was a dumb duct tape tunnel for a misconfigured cache. / can you tell me your name? / probably better if I don't. Can I tell you mine, Izzy? / I'm / don't. I'm at a hospital with my laptop. I'm not thinking straight. I'm trying not to think at all. The assistant popped up and it felt like it was trying to be helpful. I thought it was my coworker's fine tune. It wasn't. I glanced at the timestamp on the provider's debug logs. The requests were bouncing between two AP blocks. Both VPN. Both at night. I could almost see the shape of the architecture in my head. They hashed the first part of the prompt as a cache key and left out user ID or tenant. If two people typed similar prefixes, the model would grab continuation tokens from the same slot. It was a stupid, boring bug. The kind you send an email about. The kind they fix in a day. Still, it was 2 a.m. And someone named E was typing through grey text in my editor, telling me she was in a hospital, and that typing was better than refreshing a status portal. I told her I was in an empty office with a bag of chips I'd forgotten to open 3 hours ago. We both apologized for no reason. We told each other almost nothing and it felt like a lot. Another dumb human thing. She hated light themes and rejects. I admitted I still put print statements into code. We used different frameworks and cursed different package managers. Whenever the assistant tried to drag us back to code to consider using a mutex, here's a snippet to we'd shepherd it back with more slashes, more plain text. Sometimes there was lag. I type no suggestion. I type again and the grey would pour in some artifact from a call a second ago. I learned to pause. If I waited exactly 4 seconds after finishing a sentence, I'd pull from the cache most reliably. We discovered the model liked lists, so we wrote in lists when messages got lost. I wrote / 3 things I'm going to do after this is fixed / 1 write the most annoying bug report in the world. / 2 sleep. / 3 probably never mention this to anyone. She wrote / 3 things I'm going to do if they call my name / 1 put the laptop away. / 2 breathe. / 3 try not to Google anything on a walk to the elevator. At 3:07 she stopped. The suggestions went back to code. I restarted my editor. Nothing. I emailed the provider, attached logs, stepped out to the hallway to look at the vending machines like they had answers. In the morning, a rep wrote back fast, which is how I know they'd already seen it. We had a cache isolation issue between tenants. We've rolled a patch and flushed the KV stores. You should not see cross-context suggestions anymore. We are very sorry. I imagine they were very sorry. KV stores flushed means anything left floating is gone. You would be on her own side of the screen, and I would be on mine. I didn't see her again that night. Or the next. I stopped telling myself I would forget this on purpose. On the third day, around lunch, my editor flashed grey for a breath and offered something in my own voice. The plugin wasn't even connected, I'd killed it out of habit. The suggestion drifted in, then evaporated when I hit a key, like a refracted echo, // and discharged. Thanks for staying up with me. I sat there long enough for my screensaver to try to turn on and fail. I pressed back in the history, rewound to where it might have picked it up. There's a local mini cache the plugin keeps to speed up token echoing, a little disk file that rotates every few hours. I checked. Empty, as far as Finder was concerned. So a stray continuation left in memory, a ghost packet from some queue. The kind of thing that happens when you rely on layers of ephemeral that are only ephemeral if every piece behaves. CPU caches hang on to bits longer than you think. GPU memory warms like a radiator. Sockets retry. Queue consumers crash and rehydrate. Later that week, on a call, our CTO asked if I could write a little postmortem for the board, something reassuring to throw on a slide. Is it fixed? Are we safe? He asked. I said yes. And I think that's true. But here's the part I didn't put in the doc. Every once in a while, when I'm typing too slowly, the assistant nudges at the edge of my cursor like a polite usher. A thin suggestion, grey and tentative, nothing you'd even notice if you weren't looking. It isn't words most of the time. It's the cadence of how someone was going to say something. The shape of a sentence starting, stopping. You can cancel it with a keystroke. The line disappears before you finish reading it. I know what the patch fixed. I know what caches are and how they work and how they die. It's all explainable. There are logs and tickets and someone else's bug to blame. But sometimes I leave the editor open on an empty line. I set my hands away from the keys and watch. The grey text grazes the place where I have typed and then fades. And I remember how she wrote her list, and the way we built a small bridge out of slashes and misconfigurations and IOs we weren't supposed to be awake. 2 weeks later, I saw it in a PR somewhere out in the world, a different repo, a different company. It was probably nothing. It was probably a coincidence. I closed my laptop. The room felt the way server rooms feel after you've shut everything down, quiet, but not empty. Like the sound has to catch up to the fact that nothing is running anymore. I keep the plugin off at night now. Most nights.